Thank you very much. Good morning for everybody. I must say first some good words about Rabbi Menachem Barakan. He is a unique person. What he is doing is only one unique project in all over the world. One man, one project, unbelievable project. And when he organized this conference, among all his activities, this is unbelievable that he has such a success here, such a success in the museum, and such a success in all his activities. Believe me, you must applaud for him because he is doing a very, very important work. Thank you, Rabbi Menachem Barakan. I will speak a little bit about very important question. Many scholars dealt with these questions. I will try to show that even today, 75 years after the Holocaust, we can find new documents about one of the most important questions about the Holocaust. In 5 words, what is my topic? 6 million. Is it an icon or is it a myth? Is it a true number or it's a number that somebody raised from everywhere, from some place, and it's become an icon for us? At a meeting with members of the Israeli Foreign Ministry before the Eichmann trial in 1961, the prosecutor, Gideon Hausner, Israel's Attorney General, said the following: one of the arguments we are anticipating at the trial is the actual number of the Holocaust victims. The number 6 million has been firmly established in a Jewish memory, but it is difficult to prove it. Suggests that if the issue raised during the trial, we find the correct way to explain that it really doesn't matter exactly how many the Germans killed directly or died in bombing, or how many died not directly as a result of the decision to exterminate them, and if the prosecution proved there were millions, then 4, 6, or 7 doesn't really make a difference. This is a question that the Attorney General of Israel raised before Eichmann trial. Think about it, that it's after 25 years after the Holocaust, and the question was on the table. And he said, we'll never try to prove that this is the exact number. So the question is, from where the number 6 million coming from? And what I will try to show you, I think I found some new documents that, as far as I know, none of the scholars who dealt with the Holocaust looked on those documents. It's very interesting how they missed these documents. Where did the number 6 million coming from? And considering the amount of original research that has been done in recent decades, it is still considered accurate by scholars of the subject. Is it still a right number? But first, let's start with some background details. Usually, in many articles and books, the number seems to have first mentioned by Dr. William Hottel, an Austrian-born official in the Third Reich and trained historian who served in a number of senior positions in the SS. In November 1945, Hottel testified for the prosecution in the Nuremberg trials of accused Nazi war criminals. Later, in 1961, during the Adolf Eichmann trial, Dr. William Hotter answered to a legacy series of questions from the prosecution, speaking under oath from a courtroom in Austria. Twice, he said the number is 6 million. On both occasions, he described a conversation he had with Eichmann in Budapest in August 1945. Eichmann was the SS official who had principal responsibility for the logistics of the Jewish genocide. In the 1961 testimony, Hotel recalled how Eichmann told me that according to his information, some 6 million Jews had perished until then, 4 million in extermination camps and remaining 2 million through shooting by the operation units and other causes such as disease, etc. On its website, Yad Vashem, Israeli principal Holocaust Research Center, quotes the Eichmann reference and then says that both early and more recent estimates by a variety of different scholars have fallen between 5 and 6 million. Such estimates are arrived at by comparing pre-war census data with population estimate made after World War II. The Germans, through the treated the plan for annihilation of the Jews as a state secret of the higher order. They also kept scrupulous records of deportation and gassing, which also serve as a vital source of data. One of the very early sources in an article written by the well-known Jewish historian, the late Professor Salo Baron from Columbia University. Baron wrote in the 50s that the number is 5.9 million Jews who perished by the Germans. Baron used all the statistic database of the European Jewry before 1939 and compared it to the Jewish population in Europe after the war on 1945. Based on this article, Baron himself was invited to be the expert witness in the Eichmann trial in Jerusalem. One of the earliest researchers, Raoul Hilberg, came up with the figure 5.1 million on his 1961 classic book, The Destruction of the European Jews. In the third edition from 1985, he provides a legacy appendix explaining how he calculated the estimate. Lucy Davidovich, in her book, The War Against the Jews from 1975, used pre-war births and deaths records to come up with a more precise figure of 9,900,033,000. And one of the more authoritative German scholars of the subject, Wolfgang Benz, offered a range of 5.3 to 6.2 million. Each of them used his or her own method to arrive at the total. Yad Vashem itself also, in its names database, I'm sure that everybody knows about it, on an ongoing project in which it attempts to collect all the names of every Jew victim of the Nazis. It's released on the testimony from families and friends of those perished, official archives from the period, and local commemoration project. And as the early 2015, Yad Vashem estimated that the database contained the name of a little over 4 million different individuals, and exact number is not yet possible because it believes that the some hundred of thousands of people appear in multiple records. I can mention also some records from Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem has a frequent question and answer on the internet. And the question is, how many, they were asked many times, how many Jews were murdered in the Shoah, in the Holocaust? How do we know? And on the answer that you can find today, you can find it today on the internet, the answer is There is no precise figure for the number of the Jews killed in the Shoah. The figure commonly used is 6 million, quoted by Adolf Eichmann, a senior SS official. Most researchers confirm that the number of victims was between 5 and 6 million. Earlier calculation ranged from 5.1 by Raoul Hilberg to 5.65 or 95, or we must say 5,950,000 million. This is by the most famous demographer, Jacob Jelsinski. More recent research by Israel Gutman, Professor Israel Gutman, he is the most famous scholar in Israel for the Holocaust, and by Robert Rosette in Yad Vashem, Encyclopedia of the Holocaust estimate, the Jews lost it at the 5.59 to 5.86 million, which means that it's between 5.5 to 5.800,000. And the study headed by Wolfgang Benz, as I mentioned, presents a range from 5.29 million to 6 million. The main source for this statistic are comprehension of pre-war census and post-war census and population estimate, as well as contemporary documentation, such as the early report of the killing units, a collection of deportation list, and others. I have not enough time to show you everything, but I would like to say that the number 6 million appear at least 2 years before the Nuremberg trial, at least 2 years before. And unfortunately, that most of you can't read Hebrew. I will translate it, but I will show you the sources for it. And people ask me many times why I am dealing with this question, because this question can make problems. From my point of view, it's not to make problems. It's not to make problems because the number must be between 5.5 to 6.5. It's some place in between. First of all, for me, the question is still open. And if the question is still open, if you can find new documentation, it's very important to look after them in order to convince the people that this is the number, 6 million. So first of all, because it's open question, I decided to enter to it. More than that, the second reason for me is that in my personal life, for more than 40 years, I used to be a journalist. Even I have had an academic position. I used to work for the Israeli radio for more than 40 years. And if you are dealing with news and you are dealing with history, sometimes you are trying to combine the sources. From my point of view, and I think that people are not using it enough, newspapers, radio programs, TV programs are one of the most important sources for information about events in the 19th and the 20th century. And unfortunately, not many people are looking on the papers. They are looking on documents, but they are not going to look on the papers. And paper is a very, very important source. So why I'm saying it? Because when I look after that, I decided that first of all, I will enter by the internet to a very important website, which we are using in Israel. In Israel, it's very important, and you can use it also in wherever you are staying, because it's in many languages. The website called Jewish History Press. Remember the name, Jewish History Press. In this website, you can find papers 164 different Jewish papers, and they scan all the papers from the beginning of the paper till today. So if a paper appeared, even in a Jewish paper, appeared in Riga between 1920 and 1931, you can find it on this website. And you will see all the papers, all the pages. You will see the scanning of all the papers from all the years, page by page, page by page. So if you like to see what has been written on the Jewish papers during the Holocaust, about the Holocaust, enter to this website, because there you can find exactly the information. So when I started my research, first of all, I decided to enter to the website. I decided that I'm looking for the number 6 million, where it appeared at the first time on the Jewish papers. Where and when and why. Those were the three most important questions for me, because if I will know the answer, I can continue to check the number. So what I found, it's very interesting. I found, and I will show you, even you can't read it, I will show you for an example, here. Only those who can read Hebrew can. That is the reason why I don't have a PowerPoint, because only few can read Hebrew. But it's mentioned 6 million Jews killed in Europe. 6 million Jews were killed in Europe. This paper is from January 21, 1944. 1944. The first time that appeared on the Jewish paper. And on the same day, Jews in the United States protest against the State Department and one of the very famous Jewish leaders in the United States, and they said, how you can say that 2 million Jews were killed in Europe? What is the evidence for you? And on the same day, on the same paper, the headline is 6 million. And they protest against somebody who said 2 million. So from where it's coming? From where this number is coming from? It's very interesting. And I will tell you a story. It's only the source for this number is one survivor, or even you like to say 2 survivors. What happened? At the last part of 1943, one survivor, his name is Eliezer Ungar. He is from Poland. He succeeded to escape from Poland. He moved to Slovakia, from Slovakia to Hungary. He stayed in Hungary a couple months. And from Hungary, he moved after a couple months, he moved to Istanbul, and from Istanbul, he moved to Israel. On the same day that he arrived to Israel, to Palestine, thank you very much. On the same day that he arrived, he gave 2 speeches. One, he gave speech, he had a very important meeting with the leaders of the Zionist movement in Jerusalem. This was the first meeting. The other meeting was in a conference of the kibbutzim, that is the way of life in Israel, which is called kibbutz. It's a cooperative life in Israel. Twice on the same day, he spoke about what's going on in Europe. And this guy, I looked for for the records of his speeches. And I found it. I found the original. You can see, this is the original record of his speech at the meeting with the leaders of the Zionist movement. This is from the Kibbutzim movement. Those are the two documents that nobody looked on it to see that this guy spoke about 6 million. He was the first one who spoke about 6 million. And immediately, 2 days after his speeches, this headlines was on the papers, 6 million. And from this day, from the January 21st, 1944, from this day, we are speaking about 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust. This was the first time. So the one question is, from where he took the number, from where is the number, how does he know that the number is 6 million? I can tell you that on this, in this paper, he said exactly where the 6 million coming from. He said 3 million from Poland, from Croatia, from every country in Europe. But one more information about it. He spoke about it. But you must ask yourself, how does he know that it's a 6 million? You must remember, before the Holocaust, people used to say that the number of the Jews in Europe, in Eastern Europe, is 6 million. That was the number that people used to speak about. 6 million Jews are Eastern from Germany. And when they spoke about 6 million, what he'd like to say is all the Jews Eastern from Germany were perished by the Germans, which means he mentioned numbers, but he said there is no Jews East from Germany. All the Jews communities, all the Jewish people were killed, were perished East from Germany. Because I can say it, because he didn't mention, for an example, Germany. But it's very interesting to ask ourselves how he said 6 million when the Holocaust didn't start yet in Hungary. Because after his speech, 400,000 Jews were killed in Hungary. So remember, the number 6 million is the number, it's the real number. But it started when nobody has the ability to prove it. He said 6 million. And from this time, all the Jewish world spoke about 6 million. And when Hotel came and gave his witness, he said 6 million. He said that's what Eichmann said. Eichmann said 6 million because he meant we killed all the Jews east from Germany. Unger said 6 million because he knew before the Holocaust, the number of 6 million was the holy number of the Jews in Europe. 6 million is a combination of evidence, documents, and witness by somebody who survived the Holocaust and come to say to the world, 6 million Jews are not in our world. Please remember it.